The stage lights glowed softly, and the entire arena fell into a curious silence as the audience noticed something unusual happening backstage. A young boy, no older than 10, held tightly onto his father's trembling hand. And then, before anyone could understand what was coming, Simon Cowell's eyes widened with disbelief. Because what this father and son from Cebu would do next wasn't just a performance. It was a moment that would shake the entire room, bring even the coldest hearts to tears, and end with something no one saw coming. Simon Cowell didn't just stand up. He cried, and then he slammed the golden buzzer with both hands. Before that unforgettable moment, before the confetti and the tears, everything began with our channel's introduction as the camera moved smoothly across the stage and settled on the pair standing nervously in the spotlight. Welcome back to the show where we bring you the stories that touch your heart, inspire your soul, and remind you why human moments still matter. Today's journey takes us to the Philippines, to a remote barangay in Cebu, and to a father and son whose voices would travel farther than they ever imagined. The father's name was Lito, a quiet man with soft eyes and a hardworking frame shaped by years of lifting, hauling, and struggling. His son, Carlo, stood beside him barefoot, holding his father's hand as tightly as a child grips hope. Lito had never imagined performing on a global stage. For him, life had always been simple, hard, and predictable. Every morning he woke up before the sun, carrying sacks of rice on his shoulders, fixing broken fishing nets, or driving a borrowed pedicab for a few coins. Every night, he returned home exhausted, but always with one small ritual he never missed, singing to his son. Carlo had grown up listening to his father's voice echo in their tiny bamboo home. They didn't have a speaker, a microphone, or even stable electricity, but they had each other, and for them, that was music enough. Lito would sing while cooking, while fixing things around the house, and especially on nights when thunder shook the walls. Singing was never meant to bring money or fame. It was a way to survive sadness, lift the spirit, and create joy where life offered little. Then one day, Carlo surprised him with a small request. "Papa, can we join those singers on TV?" Lito had laughed at first. He knew the world of talent shows was far too big for someone from the mountains of Cebu. But Carlo insisted, and there was something in the boy's determination that reminded Lito of his younger self, long before struggle replaced dreams. So he agreed, not knowing that this decision would change their lives forever. They took a bus for 10 hours, slept at the terminal, skipped meals to save money, and finally made it to the audition venue. When they entered the bustling AGT hallway full of flashing lights, booming speakers, and rushing staff, both froze. Carlo clung to his father's leg, overwhelmed. "You don't have to be scared," Lito whispered, his own voice cracking. "We just sing like we always do. Just us two." When they stepped on stage, the entire judging panel, including Simon Cowell, studied them curiously. The audience whispered. Many assumed this was just another cute moment. But Simon leaned forward. Something about the father's trembling hands and the boy's brave smile pulled him in. He asked gently, "Who are you?" Lito swallowed hard before answering. "We are from Cebu, Philippines. I am not a singer, sir. I just sing for my son." The boy added softly, "He sings to make me happy when we have nothing." The room fell silent. Simon's expression softened, and he nodded. "Then what will you sing for us today?" Lito looked at his son, and the boy whispered, "Sing it, Papa." Together, Lito took a deep breath, placed his arm around Carlo's shoulders, and everything in the world stilled. The music began. Their voices rose together, gentle at first, then growing stronger with every line. The father's deep, warm tone blended with Carlo's angelic, pure pitch. The harmony wrapped around the audience like a warm blanket, touching hearts in every corner of the room. People who had been chatting suddenly stopped. Camera operators stepped back to watch. Even the judges, known for tough exteriors, felt something shift inside them. Because this wasn't just singing. It was love, it was hardship and hope woven together. It was the voice of a father who had given up everything so his child could smile, and a child singing not to impress, but to thank the man who carried the world for him. Halfway through the performance, Carlo's voice cracked slightly. He looked up at his father, eyes glistening. Lito squeezed his hand and sang louder, shielding his son with his strength, his voice, his love. And when Carlo recovered and joined him again, the audience erupted in applause through their tears. Simon Cowell, who rarely shows emotion, lifted his hands to his mouth. His eyes shimmered. He was seeing not just a performance but a relationship so raw and sincere it broke through his walls. Lito was singing with everything he had inside him. The desperation of a man who had struggled his whole life. The devotion of a father who had nothing to give but love. And the pride of a parent watching his child shine. When the final note echoed through the hall, the father and son stood there breathing heavily, tears running down their cheeks. The audience leapt to their feet in the loudest standing ovation of the night. The judges clapped, some wiping tears, and Lito covered his face in disbelief. Carlo hugged him tightly, repeating, "We did it, Papa, we did it." But the moment was far from over. Simon stood up slowly, his hands were trembling, his voice cracked slightly as he began to speak. "I've judged thousands of performances, but this is something I'll remember for the rest of my life. You didn't come here just to sing. You came here to show the world what love sounds like. And I felt every second of it." The audience fell quiet as Simon turned toward the golden buzzer. Everyone held their breath. Lito shook his head, confused. Carlo covered his mouth with both hands. And then Simon pressed it. Not with one hand, with both. The arena exploded in golden confetti. People screamed. The father and son collapsed into each other's arms, sobbing uncontrollably as glitter rained down like blessings from the sky. Staff rushed to them. Judges stood in awe, and Simon walked onto the stage himself to hug them. "You deserve the world," he whispered to them, voice breaking. "And today is the first day you get to have it." Backstage, as producers wiped their tears, Lito held his son tightly. "I did this for you," he whispered. But Carlo shook his head. "No, Papa, we did this together. Your voice brought us here." Reporters flooded in, cameras flashed, the crowd chanted their names. But in the middle of all the chaos, Lito remained the same simple father from Cebu. He thanked everyone with bowed head and gentle smile, always keeping Carlo close. Their story spread like wildfire across the world. Social media lit up with praise. People from the Philippines proudly shared clips of the father-son duo, calling them national treasures. International fans cried watching the performance, saying it reminded them of their own families. Songwriters, producers, and even celebrities reached out, offering support. Yet for Lito, the greatest moment wasn't the fame. It wasn't the confetti or the interviews or even the applause. It was when Carlo looked up at him backstage and said, "Papa, you're my hero." And that simple sentence meant more than any golden buzzer ever could. The journey didn't end there. As they advanced to the next round, the entire world watched their transformation. They trained together, practiced harder than ever, and learned to refine their harmonies. But no matter how much the production team tried to style them or polish them, they remained authentic. They kept the sincerity that made their first performance unforgettable. Their rehearsals were filled with laughter as Carlo tried to imitate famous singers. Lito, nervous but determined, repeated lines again and again. And every night, before sleeping, they thanked God for the opportunity. The story of a humble father and son from Cebu had become an international sensation. Judges kept calling them the heart of the season. Fans described them as a miracle in music form. And Simon, who wasn't known to get emotionally attached to contestants often, constantly checked on their progress personally. He said their bond reminded him why he joined the show in the first place. In their next performance, they didn't try to impress. They simply sang from the heart again, letting their emotions guide every note. The audience cried again, people stood at every chorus, and judges praised them endlessly. They became symbols of hope for families worldwide, proving that love and unity can create magic far greater than fame. But behind the scenes, life still challenged them. They struggled with pressure. They sometimes doubted themselves. But each time, one looked at the other and found strength again. That was the beauty of their bond. It wasn't perfect. It was real. Their golden buzzer moment was replayed millions of times online. It became one of the most emotional scenes in AGT history. Not because of professional vocals or fancy production, but because genuine souls sang together in raw honesty. The father's voice carried his sacrifices. The son's voice carried innocence. And together, they created something unforgettable. Fans from around the world sent letters saying their story helped heal broken families, mend relationships, and remind people of the value of time with loved ones. Fathers who hadn't spoken to their children in years called them after watching the video. Kids hugged their parents tighter. People rediscovered gratitude through Lito and Carlo's song. One journalist asked Lito why he cried on stage. He smiled gently and answered, "I cried because I never thought the world would ever hear my voice." I never thought my son would stand on a stage like that. I cried because I felt like maybe God never forgot us after all. And the world felt those words deeply. Their journey wasn't just about singing. It was about the resilience of a Filipino family, the courage to dream even when life gives you nothing, and the beauty of passing hope from one generation to the next. On the night of the finals, Simon looked at them with the same emotional expression he had during their audition. Before they performed, he said, "Whatever happens tonight, you both already won something far greater than this competition. You won hearts across the world. And you reminded us what love sounds like." As they performed their last song, the entire arena lit up with lights from fans holding their phones high. The duo sang with full soul, echoing across the venue like a prayer. The crowd cried again. Judges clapped before the song even finished. It felt like time froze. When they finished, Carlo looked up and whispered, "Papa, this is the best day ever." And Lito, brushing away tears, replied softly, "No, Anik, the best day is every day I get to sing with you." After the show, they walked off stage hand in hand, not knowing where the future would take them but certain of one thing: they were no longer just a father and son from Cebu. They were a symbol of hope, love, and the power of music to connect hearts around the world. Their journey continues, and wherever life takes them next, one thing is sure. Every time they sing, they will carry with them the memory of that golden moment when a single song, sung with pure love, made Simon Cowell cry and changed their lives forever.